Welcome everyone to our virtual postgraduate cafe on applying to Newcastle University. On our panel today, we have two experts, a current Newcastle University student and myself, a former university student. We'll start with introducing ourselves. So my name is Monica and I did last year a master's in international marketing, and I chose Newcastle University because the business school where my course was held is triple accredited, and it's also one of the most affordable cities in the UK to live in, and a very affordable university as well. Not to mention that student satisfaction is very high and the city is just so friendly. And I chose my course and to do a master's degree because I thought that I really wanted to change my career path. I did English at my undergraduate, as my undergraduate degree, and I didn't really want to be an English teacher. So therefore I applied for master's in something completely different. And thanks to that, now I'm actually working at Newcastle University in postgraduate marketing, so it was a very good decision to make. Now I'll ask our panel to introduce themselves. Maybe let's start with Emma.
Hello everyone, I'm Emma. I'm a postgraduate student here at Newcastle. I'm doing my PhD in clinical pharmacology, and I was a previous MRes student in the same university. I did pharmacy as an undergraduate degree, and I wanted to work in a field called pharmacogenetics. So I needed the genetics part. That's why I did my MRes here. That's why I came to Newcastle. I found exactly what I wanted to study, and I had very good recommendations about Newcastle University and Newcastle as a city as well. I went into the PhD because I wanted to continue doing research, and I received a proposal from my supervisor to stay. So it was a great pleasure to stay at Newcastle and do a further degree.
Karen?
Hi, my name is Karen. I'm one of the careers advisors based in the University Careers Service. My time spent working with both prospective students, also undergraduate and postgraduate students and recent graduates, helping them to make decisions about programs, study, but also how to get the most out of the university while they're here, and then looking forward to the kind of opportunities that they might take advantage of when they finish their course, and helping them to achieve those.
And hi, I'm Danielle and I work on our postgraduate admissions team here at Newcastle. My main role is dealing with the incoming applications that we get from prospective PG students and answering any queries they may have about what it's like to study at Newcastle and anything to do with the programmes that we have available here.
Great, thank you. We'll be here for the next 15 minutes, and please ask us questions that you might have about applying. And how we do it is that you post them on Discuss platform, which is right on the bottom of this page below the video that you're just watching. And we'll do our best to answer all your questions live. But if we run out of time, you can still post them and we'll just answer by commenting on them. So we have some questions that students ask us a lot, and we'll just start with these. So first question is to Danielle. How do students apply for taught and research course?
So you apply for both types of programme in the exact same way, and that's by completing our online application form. You need to register on our online portal first and then complete the application form for whichever programme it is that you're interested in. It's worth mentioning that you can apply for more than one programme, so if you're interested in 2 or 3 different courses in a similar area or in different areas, the system will allow you to submit multiple applications, so you can go ahead and do that. The only difference between the two, taught and research, is that a research application would also require you to submit a research proposal or for you to discuss with the school that they're able to facilitate your research. You can do that prior to submitting your application, but you don't have to. You can just apply with your own research idea, and we'll see if the school are able to facilitate that.
Great, thank you. Now, question for Emma. Can you tell us about your experience when applying to Newcastle University?
It was my first application in a UK university, to be honest, and I did it completely by myself. I didn't have any help from anyone because my family was not kind of familiar with these kind of processes, and none of my friends or siblings had been to the UK before to study. So I found the process really straightforward. I followed the steps on the applicant portal. It was pretty straightforward. There were questions for you to answer. I uploaded all my documents, the translated documents I had, because my previous degree was in Greece. So everything was really easy. I also asked for some help from the team here at Newcastle University. They got back to me within a day. It was about the IELTS test. I didn't find it difficult, to be honest. Not only for the taught program, the MRES program I had here, but also for the PhD. It was pretty straightforward again. It was the same type of application as already mentioned.
But for PhD, you had to submit also research proposal?
To be honest, I didn't really need to do that because as I was a previous student here at Newcastle University, I continued with the same supervisor. So we had discussed well in advance what my projects will be for the PhD. So he just ticked the relevant box for me. I didn't really need to discuss about that in my application. It was just a personal statement.
Made it much easier.
Yes, it did.
My experience of applying was actually really good as well. I did it 2 years ago, and I was living in Vietnam at the moment, so I was very out of touch with with Europe back then. But I prepared my personal statement. Took me about maybe 2 weeks, and I prepared for a month to take the IELTS test. And then I just asked my previous teacher from my undergraduate course for recommendation, and also my employer at that time. And that was it really. And then I submitted all my documents, and after just only 2 weeks I received a reply, which was great. I didn't expect it that soon, to be honest. Right, so our next question is, when is it best to apply, and are there any deadlines, Danielle?
So basically, only a few of our programs do have a set deadline that you need to apply by. Just a handful out of the numerous courses that we offer, and that will always be clearly advertised on the website. So we'd always advise that you research the programme it is that you're applying for prior to submitting your application. So you should know well in advance if there is a deadline that you need to work towards. But for the majority of our programmes, there isn't actually a deadline, and it's really a good time at any time to apply throughout the year. The only thing that we would say is if you're an international student and you're planning on applying for a visa to enter the UK, to apply before July, just to give yourself enough time over the summer to obtain your visa. You don't want to be applying any later than that, just in case there is a delay with the visa application process. But we do, for the rest of our courses, we accept applications right throughout the year and right up until the start of the programme. So if there are no visa implications for you, you can apply as late as August if you need to, if you only decide last minute that you want to study with us. So.
Great. Now we have another expert question to Karen. Karen, could you tell us how to write a good personal statement?
Yeah. First, you'll find information online that explains what should be included in your personal statement, and it's important to make sure that you address each of those questions. We recommend that you use a simple structure which starts by explaining why you're actually interested in the course that you've chosen. What is it that appeals perhaps about the subject, or perhaps the vocational nature of that programme. We're particularly interested in what sort of experiences have led you to believe that it's the right programme for you. So those experiences might have come from previous relevant studies. Perhaps you've chosen modules that are linked to what you want to go on to do. Perhaps you've had some experience of research through a dissertation or extended project in your undergraduate studies. Or perhaps, if it's not directly related to what you've done before, you've had experiences outside of your study, maybe through extracurricular activity or maybe through work experience that have prompted your interest in this particular programme. It's especially important to be specific about what those experiences are, but also how they've actually impacted on your thinking, and also what you've done to perhaps find out more about the programme that you're going for. In particular, what's the appeal about both the content, but also maybe the way in which the course is structured, the way you might be assessed during the length of that course. Remember to highlight achievements that are going to give the reader an indication of how well you're likely to do on the programme. So that might be particularly strong marks in relevant areas if it's linked to your studies, or it might be, as I said, experiences outside of your studies that would suggest you're going to cope well with the programme itself. That might include activities that are not directly relevant, but actually suggest maybe you've got the time management and organisational skills too, to be able to cope with the increased demands of postgraduate study. Don't forget to mention why you particularly want to come to Newcastle, what it is about the city and the institution that is going to be important to you. And that might range from quality of the people that are going to be teaching you, the facilities, the students you might be working with, the opportunities that you might have whilst you're here. And finally, we're looking to see that you've given some thought to where you think the programme might take you. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to know exactly what you're going to do at the end, but it's interesting to get some sense of where you see your next step being and what kind of direction you hope it might take you in. The bottom line to keep in mind is that when somebody's reading it, they want to know why it is that it's that particular programme out of all the programmes that you might choose that you think is right for you.
Great, thank you. That was a very good summary. And following on from that, Emma, could you tell us about when you wrote your personal statement and how you went about it?
Yeah, so for the one, for the MRes degree, when I first came to Newcastle University, I followed the guidelines of the website. There were the questions that Karen has summarised, so roughly about the programme, why you've chosen it, what it is Newcastle University in particular that drives you to apply, and about Newcastle in general, and probably some future career aspirations. For the PhD one, since I had the proposal from my supervisor, it was pretty clear that he thought that my skills were relevant enough and sufficient to go for a PhD degree, and also my enthusiasm was quite obvious during the time I was an MRes student with my supervisors. So it was pretty clear what I needed to write in my personal statement. Again, following the same pattern, the same kind of questions.
Yes, when I was writing my personal statement, again, I was in Vietnam, but I was surrounded by my fellow English teachers, and I made every one of my friends look at my personal statement at least 10 times to make sure each comma was in the right place and each sentence was just perfect. Yes, I took it upon myself to write a very good personal statement, and also I had a situation where I had to prove that I'm a good candidate to study marketing, whereas I've never done anything similar to it. I was an English teacher at the time, as I mentioned. So, for example, I used all the transferable skills that I gained as an English teacher in my previous jobs to prove why I would be a good student in the marketing degree. For example, I said, I think that I'm a good marketer of knowledge to my students because I know how to sell knowledge onto them and things like that. So I think you can always find something relevant in your background and whatever you're doing with your work and your hobbies to prove why you're a good person to study whatever you want to study. Emma, could you tell us something about writing a research proposal, because a lot of our students are looking for advice on that.
So I had tried to do that previously. Obviously, I was considering different options while I was an MRes student, and I tried to write some research proposals for other universities, but it was the same kind of research I was doing anyway. So I tried to summarize why my interest was in this particular field, and use the literature to prove that there is something missing, and we need to go into research and prove whether the hypothesis I had in mind was right or wrong. I had some knowledge about different techniques that we could use to use that, so laboratory techniques, and I tried to summarize that as well in a different paragraph, but it was really hard for me to do that by myself. I felt I needed some help with the relevant supervisor. So I feel people should first contact the school or the supervisor themselves before they actually go into writing a research proposal.
We had a question coming in from one of interested prospective students about London campus. The question was, is the London campus international, and how is it to study there? And I think the person was interested in the same course that I did. So I think I'm best suited to answer that question for you. London campus is very international because it is business school that is based there. The same as business school here at Newcastle is probably one of the most international faculties we have in our university, and you will find students. When I studied, there was, I think, 100 people on my course, and we had, only a handful of students from the UK. Everybody else was from, you had Italians, Greeks, Chinese, Taiwanese, Dutch people. I'm from Poland myself, so yes, business school is definitely very international here as well as in London. And the London campus, I think the main selling point for London campus is that it's set up there to have links with industry there. So they have very often employers' presentations and some practical projects to do with employers that are based there. And it's also in the heart of London, so I'm sure you will find that it's very international and, buzzing with activity and also employability. Right, I think that's actually all that we have time for today. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for the questions that you've asked. And don't forget that actually our next virtual cafe, if you're interested, is coming up on 25th of April, and that will be about our career service. So we'll tell you more about how to make yourself employable while studying with us and what career service has to offer to you. And also have a look at the PG Cafe site, which you're on now, I suppose, and you can read our student blogs, student profiles, and look at all our upcoming events, and also watch videos like this one from our past events. And having said that, this video will stay on the website. You can recap it, you can watch it again, watch it later, and you can still ask questions right below this video in the Discuss platform, and we'll just answer by commenting on them. That was it from us, and thank you very much.